multiple Trump officials were on the Sunday morning shows and accidentally said exactly what is happening with our economy. And let's get right into it, because Scott Bessent was asked if we are in a recession, and here's what he had to say.
Let me ask you big picture, Mr. Secretary. You said earlier this month, I'm going to quote you, quote, "I think there are sectors of the economy that are in a recession." Kevin Hassett, director of the National Economic Council, said, quote, "We're starting to see pockets of the economy that look like they might be in a recession." Which parts of the economy do you believe have dipped into a recession?
Well, clearly housing has been struggling, and interest rate sensitive sectors have been in a recession. And the other thing that was not helpful, Kristen, was the longest government shutdown in history. It was 1.5% hit to GDP. The 9,500 flights canceled, and the Democrats didn't care that they hurt the American economy. Anything to stop Donald Trump.
Well, big picture, is the country at risk, the entire country at risk of being in a recession?
No, I am very confident about 2026, because what we are going to see is...
I don't trust you. I don't trust you. In fact, I think you're lying, because one thing you did not mention here, which has been the biggest reason that the economy has stalled, is because of Donald Trump's tariffs, the largest tax put on working people in American history. You didn't seem to mention that part, the fact that people can't afford to pay for basic things like rent and food, and costs are skyrocketing. Meanwhile, Scott Bessent was asked about the cost of living, and he said, don't worry about it, because turkeys are cheap.
J.D. Vance asked people to have, quote, "a little bit of patience with the administration." Let me ask you, Mr. Secretary, how long do Americans need to be patient? How long do they have to wait for the cost of living to come down?
Well, Kristen, in March of 2024, I wrote a piece and I talked about the 3 I's that were killing Americans: immigration, interest rates, and inflation. Presidents closed the border, and the mass immigration is gone. And that was a lot of the immigration was putting upward pressure on housing, downward pressure on wages. Interest rates are down, and now we are starting to see the affordability. The prices.
Uh-oh, Robot Bessent short-circuited.
Starting to see the affordability. The prices get better. We had a very big October for home sales. Energy prices, gasoline is down. We saw, we believe healthcare is going to come down. We will see an announcement this coming week on that. And so across the board, prices are starting to come down. We're having Thanksgiving week. This will be the lowest cost for a Thanksgiving dinner in 4 years. Turkey prices are down 16%.
Are your prices down? This man knows when he's lying. His body, his soul is trying to stop the lie from coming out. That is what we just saw in real time. But you know if things are more expensive. You know if your cost of living is going up or going down. This is like one of those things like COVID. You can't really lie about whether or not your friends and family are getting sick and dying. You can't really lie about whether or not people aren't able to afford the basic needs. And I think most people would say that not only are costs not down, they're higher than they were before. It's kind of insulting that they can't just level with us on this shit, that they have to say, actually, well, the cost of turkey's down, so why don't you just enjoy that, you poor piece of shit. And this guy's rich as shit. He's a billionaire, billions on billions. He's like, well, the turkey prices are down 16%. All right, thanks, billionaire buddy. And he was actually asked about tariffs, and here's what he had to say.
Since you were last on this program, the administration announced it was rolling back tariffs on more than 200 food products. You have said recently that you think tariffs help consumers. If tariffs help consumers, why is the administration rolling them back?
Well, first of all, Kristen, if you look at the data, that imported goods, the inflation has actually been flat. Inflation is up because of the service economy and services, so that has nothing to do with tariffs. And many of the food items where the inflation is coming down, the USTR has been working very hard on trade deals, and the trade deals, that have been in the works for 6 or 8 months coincide with many Latin American, Central American countries where the foodstuffs you just named come from.
Well, and banana prices are up almost 7%, coffee prices up nearly 19%. Isn't the fact that you're rolling back tariffs an admission that ultimately they do drive up prices for consumers?
Kristen, how much does your arm weigh?
That I do not know.
Exactly, but you know how much you weigh. You get on the scale every morning. Inflation is a composite number, and we look at everything. So we try to push down the things we can control. And as I said, that we are working on the energy prices are down, and everything flows from that. And I think we're going to see these other prices come down. And
you're not going to see them go down until you put down the tariffs. I mean, what she's getting at there, and I wish she would have went a little bit harder on him, is that this is all happening because of the tariffs. And they have basically admitted it without saying it, because in order for prices to come down on goods that we can't make here, they've had to lower the tariffs. And it affects the price of the goods. I mean, it's like the biggest, stupidest lie in American history. Ugh.
Now, Kristen, I can tell you that the Council on Economic Advisors has a study. You know the best way to bring your inflation rate down? Move from a blue state to a red state. Blue state inflation is 0.5% higher. And
yeah, if you're poor and you can't afford things, the best thing you can do is spend as much. It's one of the largest expenses people have, and also one of the most stressful things to do is to move. Yeah. Your prices are down. Don't worry about what we're doing here. Just move from your home. God, the whole thing's super fucking insulting. All right, well, in the other parts of cable, Dr. Cassidy was asked about. Actually, I'm not even gonna let him lie to you, but I just want to let you say. Actually, I'll just play this part. But he says he's asked about RFK Jr. about vaccines, and he said this. I can't believe that we're at this point where this is something that we have to say.
Because RFK Jr. promised you that he wouldn't do this. Here is an exchange you had with him during his confirmation hearing.
If the data is brought to you, and these studies that have been out there for quite some time and have been peer reviewed, and it shows that these 2 vaccines are not associated with autism, will you ask, no, I need even more? Or will you say, no, this I see this, it's stood the test of time, and I unequivocally and without qualification say that this does not cause autism?
Not only will I do that, but I will apologize for any statements that misled people otherwise.
Thank you.
Dr. Cassidy, he lied to you.
Well, first let me say what is most important to the American people. Speaking as a physician, vaccines are safe.
Okay, good to know. Good, thanks. But you confirmed a guy who thinks vaccines aren't safe with no scientific backup. So, not really understanding your logic here. All right, and then I want to end with Alyssa Slotkin, who I think put this all in perspective, because everyone freaked out over this week, and Donald Trump, maybe I'll post about it later, but Donald Trump posted this long thing about how they should be tried for sedition. But she said what I said, which is this.
I would argue that one of the things that he's been doing by repeating it and talking about it is trying to distract us from the big stories of last week, which were the Epstein files and then the economy. And I took note yesterday at 9 o'clock at night. He's tweeting that there's no inflation, the economy's the best it's ever been. It was kind of amazing considering that the American public isn't stupid. It actually reminded me of Joe Biden, right? Joe Biden tried to tell us for a year that the economy was great. Now this president, who ran on lowering costs for Americans.
But you changed the subject with that video at...
There you go. I mean, reporters. She's like, all right, well, let's actually talk about the thing Donald Trump wants to talk about, not the thing you brought up. Anyways. Yes, so this is all a big distraction from what I'm just showing you right now, which is that the economy is getting bad, they're making us sicker, and we have a president who doesn't care about it at all and just wants to keep distracting us while him and his billionaire buddies make millions and millions and millions, if not billions of dollars. All right, well, thanks for watching. I will see you soon. Bye-bye.